On Saturday, September 7th, 2024, Connellsville, Pennsylvania's Edwin S. Porter Theater will host the inaugural Porter Film Festival. Porter, a native of Connellsville, is best known for incredible films like The Great Train Robbery, but he is responsible for so many amazing films during those earliest days of the 20th century. He mainly worked for Thomas Edison and is considered by many to be the first great movie director in this country. Now, the festival will be held in the recently refurbished 800-seat Porter Theater. 3 Porter films will be shown during this incredible event. You got The Great Train Robbery, Dream of a Rarebit Fiend, and The Night Before Christmas. Also being shown is the Harold Lloyd classic, The Freshman. Live music by the Petrine Ragtime Society Orchestra will accompany each film. The orchestra's leader, Andrew Green, will introduce each film and talk about what it was like to be an audience member during those earliest days of the silent period. The evening will be a benefit for Connellsville Community Ministries and will help to fund the largest food bank in Fayette County, Pennsylvania. The ticket price of $40 will include heavy hors d'oeuvres, drinks, live music, and of course those classic movies which are seldom seen on a big screen. Tickets went on sale on June 15th, 2024, and can still be purchased online. More information can be found on Facebook simply by searching for Porter Film Fest. This should be a fun evening and an incredible way to honor the legendary Edwin S. Porter whilst helping those a little less fortunate. Don't be afraid to dress in period costumes, cheer the heroes, hiss at the villains, and enjoy the cinema that we all love so much. The Golden Silent Films podcast will be there in full force, and we want to see you too. So come on down to the awesome Edwin S. Porter Film Festival.
The Golden Silent Films podcast welcomes you to Edinburgh for this very special episode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a very special episode of the Golden Silent Films podcast. This episode is noteworthy in that we are turning our attention to the world of live theater and its intersection with the silent films we love so much. There are so many people out there that love silent films, and all of those people show that love in immeasurable, countless ways. In this episode, we will be talking to someone with an unexpected perspective into the world of silent film, and Harold Lloyd in particular. Before we summon up the courage to conduct a real-life, real-time interview, let's soothe and calm our jangled nerves by running down the usual Golden Silent Films podcast social media performance venues. As usual, head on over to Golden Silence Cast on Instagram for up-to-date info on this little podcast. And for all of you folks on X or Twitter, just follow at Golden Silence 1 or just search for Golden Silence Cast and we ought to pop up. All of these screen names and sites will be in the episode description in case you are interested in checking us out. At both social spaces, you'll get behind-the-scenes pics and info, upcoming episode reveals, and other fun film-related materials. And obviously, always cool photos of our official podcasts, Soda and Gizmo. Also, if you're listening to this program on Spotify or Apple Podcast, do leave a review, a rating, or if you're feeling fancy, do both. Our show has been around for over 4 years, and we have only a mere 14 reviews on iTunes. We would love to see that number keep ticking up, and you awesome silent film fans out there can make it happen. All of those ratings and reviews help so much. Live your best review-leaving life and help our little show grow and reach fellow silent film fans. Dropping those reviews gives us more exposure in the world of podcasts and lets us know how we can improve. As always, we appreciate the feedback and always want to bring you the best show possible. And do subscribe to the Golden Silent Films podcast. While our output can be a bit spotty, if you're subscribed, you will never miss an episode. And the moment new content drops, it's going to go straight to your listening device of choice. Now, we are smack dab in the middle of our 4th season, and we do not want you to miss a second of the action. Now that we have the audio bit covered, let's take a quick moment to remind all of you out there of our new presence on the video streaming platform YouTube. We have started putting past episodes out for your streaming pleasure. Whether these past gems are new to you or you want to revisit past movie discussions, you know where to go. And since we are new to YouTube, please do us a solid and click on over and like and subscribe. We hear it's what all the cool YouTubers ask. We are old and often technically inept, so give us a little positive reinforcement and give our fledgling channel a once-over. To do that, just search for the Golden Silent Films podcast and we'll pop up straight away. So thank you all so much for supporting us on all of these many platforms. Now, when we first got the idea to make this podcast, it was always with the intention of conducting interviews and chat sessions with any and all folks who dig silent film. As longtime listeners can attest, the show has rarely had anyone but me talking. Much like the introduction of sound was inevitable for cinema, interviews had to eventually make their way to the theater of the Golden Silent Films podcast. And this is that momentous episode. After a couple of episodes of toe-dipping, finally, the time has come to have an actual interview, and we couldn't be happier to chat with this guest. And we are sure you will find it as incredibly interesting as we did. Truly a new and incredibly unique look at one of the legends of silent film. As mentioned earlier, this super special stop on the Golden Silent Films podcast World Tour 24 is dropping us on the stages of Edinburgh, Scotland. The event that brings us here is the world-famous Edinburgh Fringe Festival. This 3-week festival of performing arts takes place in Edinburgh every August. Its history and backstory dates back to 1947, when 8 theater groups turned up uninvited to perform at the Edinburgh International Festival. According to the Fringe Fest website, which you can find at www.edfringe.com, the article explains, not being part of the official program of the International Festival didn't stop these performers. They just went ahead and staged their shows on the fringe of the festival anyway, coining the phrase and our name, the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. Since the dawn of this spontaneous artistic movement, millions have flocked to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe to produce and to enjoy art of every genre. The website continues, year on year, more and more performers followed their example, and in 1958, the Festival Fringe Society was created in response to the success of this growing trend. The Society formalized the existence of this collective of performances, provided information to artists, published the Fringe program, and created a central box office. Now, that is a really cool story, and I love the organic way this event was born. When creativity and a need to show that creativity come together, people really do some amazing things, and we, as viewers, reap those benefits. Now, when looking at the Edinburgh Fringe Fest numbers, you really see what a huge deal it is. It's not just Scottish or even European locals that see what a great opportunity the Fringe Fest is. Entertainers from all over the world make their way to Edinburgh. According to the website, 63 countries were represented on stage in 2023's Fringe, performing in 753 shows. Denmark, Wales, Scotland, Switzerland, Quebec, Canada, Ireland, Northern Ireland, New Zealand, Taiwan, Finland, Italy, China, France, and Korea were among the countries and regions that staged showcase programs at the Fringe. It truly is a worldwide event, and being a worldwide event, Fringe Fest is an incredible showcase for those who perform. A lot of eyes from important places are all fixed on Edinburgh, Scotland. An article from the Fringe Fest website reads, as the largest performing arts festival and expo market for the professional development in the world, this year's Fringe also attracted nearly 1,400 accredited producers, programmers, bookers, talent agencies, festivals, and others from 49 countries who come to Edinburgh looking to find talent and shows, providing touring and onward opportunities for artists well beyond August. In addition, 840 of the world's media accredited for this year's festival through the Fringe Society, with that number of reviewers going up 10% on last year, and who in total generated 25% more reviews for artists at the Fringe than in 2022. Those are really some wild and incredible numbers. And one thing we love here at the podcast home office is some fun with numbers. We're going to keep that theme going as we take a look at some of the numbers for anyone headed to this year's edition of the festival. First, the festival itself will be taking place from August 2nd through the 26th. There will be 3,317 total shows going on, spanning 262 different venues. If you're a comedy aficionado, this is the place to be, with 40% of the shows being comedic. And the Fringe Fest really is for everyone, with nearly a third of the shows either being free or of the pay what you want or can variety. With the Edinburgh Fringe Fest story told and our heads saturated with numbers, let's take a look at one of those many performers that flock to Fringe every year. And this one has a great silent film connection I think you will all appreciate.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Stuart?
Doing good, thanks. And now, since you are here and you are thankfully and amazingly the first ever live interview of the show, how about we introduce you? Your name is Tommy. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Tommy, and why you are here and why we're talking to you.
Great to be here, Stuart, and really pleased that we're connected across the pond. I am Tommy Murray. I'm an actor, writer, and hat collector. My reason for being here is that I am currently performing and producing in a show with the theatre company that I co-run with my wife Hayley, a show called Against the Clock about silent films, and we just want to talk silent film. So I'm here today to do just that.
That sounds amazing. Now tell everyone a little bit about how you got into live performing and into the performing arts.
My first kind of performing experience was probably in a school talent show as a Teletubby, and I've always loved the color red. I was Poe, the Teletubby, for those that know the well-known characters, so the color red has always really resonated with me. It's the color of a clown's red nose. I've always been a clown. When I went to college, I studied musical theatre and also did a special, I guess what you would call a semester, where we studied clown specifically. There I really found this love for comedy. And shortly after that project, I met, who's now my wife, Hayley. We also went to university together, continued to study theatre and started making shows, and the rest is history.
Awesome. Now, your show is performing somewhere incredibly special coming up in a couple of weeks. Where is it going to be performing?
So from the 3rd to the 13th of August, we're performing Against the Clock, a hooray for Harold Lloyd story, if you like. We're performing that at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is the largest arts festival, I believe, in the world. It's a really special festival for me and Hayley because it's a festival that we've both performed in before in other people's shows, which is always lovely. But this is a show that, as I say, we've both worked on, produced, and devised and created ourselves. So, it's even more special that it's kind of our debut, our premiere, if you like, of this show in a really big festival. We performed it once last year in November in a really lovely theatre. Then we performed it just yesterday on the 27th of July in the back of a bookshop in London. So that's where we are based in the ever so sunny London at the moment, but I'm sure the rain will come again.
So earlier in the episode, I talked about the historical existence of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in kind of more educational terms. But as someone who's actually performed there and who has experience with it, what is it like on the ground level of being in the middle of all that creativity and all that just fervor for art and theater?
What I love about the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, it has this very large sort of high street in the middle of the city, which is called the Royal Mile. And on the Royal Mile, me and hundreds and thousands of people are all standing there, dressed in various costumes and holding various props and signposts and flyers and leaflets and all kinds of paraphernalia related to their shows, trying to grab the public and telling them why they should come and see Against the Clock at 6:35 in the Strathmore Bar that evening, and not go and see one of the other 1,001 shows that are on in the festival. There really is something for everyone. There's music, there's spoken word, there's poetry, children's theatre, shows about science, magic, really just anything and everything, plays, musicals. So you just gotta get yourself out there, as you say, onto the ground level, and find something exciting to see.
In researching and looking into it, it did seem overwhelming to just like to someone who's not used to it. Just so many shows, so much going on. It gave me anxiety just watching like YouTube videos about what goes on and just the sheer amount of shows.
Sure. I mean, for me, it's one of those kind of, feels almost like a bit of an institution. It's in a really kind of a classic way that it's where a lot of shows and performers really start out. So the sort of famous cases would be the British group Beyond the Fringe. A lot of programs like Fleabag that are on the television, the recent Netflix series Baby Reindeer started as an Edinburgh Fringe play. So it's becoming kind of world known. As you switch on your streaming services and you realize that, oh wait, this program I'm watching is actually based on an Edinburgh Fringe play. So who knows? Maybe that's the next step for us. But for now, let's just get to the festival and see what happens.
Now, the reason you are here is to talk on a silent film podcast. So tell us a little bit about your history with silent film and how you found your way into it.
One of my kind of earliest memories of one of my favorite films would actually be Charlie Chaplin's Easy Street. It's a really it's one of his sort of shorter pictures, but it just takes me to Victorian London, even though it's on an American soundstage in Hollywood, California. It's a real kind of love letter to his kind of home life, but it's also kind of really harrowing. And then films like The Kid, Modern Times. There's so many Chaplin films that have been a huge influence on me. And then kind of from that initial point, you then discover the world of the other people that were involved in that time. My granddad loved Laurel and Hardy. It was my dad who introduced me to Harold Lloyd. My family have always enjoyed comedy. So for me, the silent film love, does start with comedy, but also studying film at college. I was able to watch Battleship Potemkin and loads of other kind of really exciting early, George Méliès and all these kind of other really cool silent films.
Now, what is it about Harold Lloyd specifically that really drew you in and made you want to eventually make a show about him?
For me, Harold Lloyd was this sort of underdog, and I think that still kind of stands. That he's sort of relatively unknown to the kind of the public perception. If we look at kind of the silhouettes of characters, you can kind of identify a Charlie Chaplin. I've spoken to people in recent times who are kind of my generation and younger, and they might you might show them a picture of Charlie Chaplin, and they might kind of be like, is that sort of like the Laurel and Hardy thing? So there's a sort of reference and framework of understanding, but it is fading away, and people are kind of losing interest, which in some ways is sort of, people might say, fair enough, it was 100 years ago, kind of get over it already. But I think there is a lot to learn. There's a lot to see that where things kind of come from, and some of the greatest kind of comedy gags. I mean, one of the sort of classics being what traditionally in kind of older Italian theatre was known as the broken mirror, but this idea of the kind of Dutch suit, Marx Brothers, the two characters either side of what you think is a mirror, but they're, it's these two actors reflecting each other. That's just like, that's in films even today. John Wick was heavily influenced by kind of Buster Keaton. The Mad Max films took inspiration from Buster Keaton. So there's so much to kind of be inspired by, and for me, Harold Lloyd is that wormhole that I've chosen to enter.
Since they're not able to really see it, what can they expect to see in that show?
I think what people can expect to see in the show is silent slapstick, movie magic. But aside from a sort of promotional tagline, they can certainly expect to see a performance that has a really personal story, both of Harold Lloyd's and also of mine and Hayley's own life as well. So there's two parallel stories running alongside of each other. You've got Harold Lloyd 100 years ago working in a department store. This character in Safety Last, which was his sort of considered his most famous kind of film, purely just because of the iconography of this man hanging from a clock, and which again has been seen in so many films, in recent years as a kind of reference. They can also see the personal story of mine and Hayley's, sort of semi-autobiographical, about these two characters who are trying to make it as actors in the world of show business, and have they got what it takes? But meanwhile, they're working these odd jobs in between to make money. One of those being that I was working in a department store in London. So that was the parallel, that as I was standing on the shop floor of a department store in London, all I can think about is silent films, and I'd rather be somewhere else, imagining myself in back in the day, in the time of Harold Lloyd.
Since you are such a big Harold Lloyd fan, don't roast me too hard on this one, but I have not seen too many Harold Lloyd films. So what are some of your favorite, obviously Safety Last, but what are some of your favorite Harold Lloyd films or experiences?
I really enjoy Girl Shy, which is 1924. That was a really fun film that I enjoyed, and I was able to watch it most recently in London at a place called the Wiltons Music Hall. Hayley and I went together. It was, in fact, she bought it for me as one of my our anniversary gifts, our wedding anniversary gifts, and we went to see Girl Shy on the big screen, and it just felt like we were back in the old days, in this cinema, watching this film, which had live piano score, and this wonderful company called the Lucky Dog Picture House produced this screening with shorts beforehand, and it just, there's so many films of Harold Lloyd to enjoy. So we've really taken time to really study the physicality of these comedy characters and see how we can bring them onto the stage.
We wish you the best of luck. But before we go, is there any social media tags, handles, anything you want to put out there so people can follow the show, see where it's playing, see how it goes, and just follow your guys' journey in general?
They can certainly check us out at foolstalktheatre on Instagram. We're also on X and Facebook as well. Definitely recommend checking out our pages, Tommy Murray, Hayley Everett, and also do have a look at DB Songs as well, because my dad has written with his writing partner some songs for the show. On his page soon, you'll also get to hear some sneak previews of some of the music in the show as well. So I do hope that you follow us and maybe see you in a theatre sometime.
And I'll definitely have all that information in the show descriptions. I just wanted to say thank you for joining us. I could definitely talk for hours and hours about this. We definitely have a lot of common ground to chat about, and I definitely will be chatting about some more stuff in the future. But I just wanted to thank you again for stopping by and talking about Harold Lloyd and Edinburgh Fringe Festival with us.
Honestly, it has been a pleasure. I hope that Haley and I one day get to visit you in Pennsylvania, and we can have the opportunity to share the show with the people of America. Watch this space. Thank you so much, and good luck with your podcast.
Thank you so much, and good luck with your show. We're looking forward to hearing about how it goes.
Thank you. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now, that was an incredibly fun and informative chat that I hope everyone out there really learned a lot and really got to get a feel for Tommy and for his show. And if you are in Edinburgh, please do definitely check it out. They are in the midst of some great performances, and we hope you get to see them live. Now, we're going to move on to a regular segment of the show, but we're going to kind of repurpose it a little for our use today. So, with that being said, as we put this episode to bed, it is time to find out where your favorite silent-themed live show festival entertainers can be found. On social media, the history, the art, and celebrity spectacle converge, and where are they now? Your guide to following the amazing actors that have informed and entertained us so much in the earlier interview. Now, Fools Talk Theatre, consisting of Tommy and Haley, are always out and about putting on great shows and paying tribute to silent film. All of their social media points allow you to follow their theatrical adventures and shenanigans. They are most definitely worth a follow, so do us a favor, pause the show right now, head on over to Instagram and type in Fools Talk Theatre or Tommy _L_ Murray to join in on the fun. Those addresses will also be in the description, plus a bunch more. Tommy was super gracious in joining us live, and he was a big reason this live interview exists to listen to. So please, everyone out there, let's boost Fools Talk Theatre. Let's go there, let's find all their social medias, let's show them our support, show them positivity, and send them out in the world, and hopefully many more people can see them live. In worst case scenario, you can follow their exploits from across the pond. Now, with this episode's interview safely behind us, let's unwind and let the anxiety and tension wash away as we thank you for sharing this with us. It's been a really fun and fascinating adventure hearing from Tommy and seeing our favorite era of silent film in a whole other light. Did you enjoy this fun look at Harold Lloyd? What is your favorite live theater iteration of a classic film? What other non-film takes on silent film should we dive into next? Let us know all of that and more at our various social media spots of the Golden Silent Films podcast. On that note, if you have forgotten, we are on Instagram and Twitter, and lest you forget, we are on YouTube now. Let us know what you think of our first interview experience. What silent and silent-related movies, past and present, do you want us to look at next? Our world of silent movie knowledge and experience is constantly growing, and we need your input for our future episodes here and beyond. You can always find us at the Golden Silence Cast on Instagram and at Golden Silence 1 on Twitter. And again, if you listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or other podcast outlets that allow it, subscribe, rate, and review. It does a lot for our visibility, and we love hearing your thoughts and ideas. We really, really do appreciate all of your incredible support, and seeing how much you folks are listening only makes us want to make bigger, better, and more epic episodes. And maybe even brave the world of live interviews again. And don't forget, the Golden Silent Films podcast is now on YouTube, so be sure to like our videos and subscribe to the channel so we can build the channel up and reach out to more silent film fans across the streaming universe. We are a show strongly committed to spreading the love of silent film, and branching out to new venues and services only helps that era of film we love so much. So, with all that being said, thank you to all of you fine listeners for all of your fine listening. And don't forget, the silents are golden, and the talkies, they're just a fad. And support live theater, especially if you're in Edinburgh, Scotland, in August right now. Enjoy.